Hey guys, it's Choppadong, and we're going to come back at you today with more baseball talk from yesterday. If you didn't see yesterday's video, just scroll back a little bit here in YouTube. You can find it. I actually saw some things after I stopped recording yesterday and went into another detailed video about 10 minutes long, breaking down some more strategy for our VIPs. So if you are getting this video publicly, I appreciate the likes and the subscribes and all of that great stuff, but you might want to become a VIP as well. So click the link in the description down there at the bottom. Use the coupon code DFS Army, get a 10% off discount, and get in here. Let's talk some deeper strategy, because today I want to show you a couple of things that we've noticed through a little bit of data analysis, a little bit of back testing, a little bit of, looking back through the contest to see what produces the winners. Because again, this game is monkey see, monkey do. It's as easy as following the winners and emulating what they do, putting yourself in the same position they put themselves in, and then hoping it all comes together. When I look at certain factors, implied run totals matter, the formation of your baseball stacks matter, your gaps in your stacks matter, and your batting order stuff sometimes matters. These are things that we can eliminate. You know, when you aim at a bullseye, you don't just aim at, say the front of your house. You try to hit the front door, right? So if you can eliminate things, lengthen the barrel of your gun or practice and get a little bit better, whatever it is, you can hone in and you can cut out some of the things that don't matter. Don't need to aim at the garage, bullseye's not there. Don't need to aim at the front window, bullseye's not there. You hone in on that front door and you get a little bit better shot at hitting your target. It's the exact same thing here in baseball. Eliminate the stuff that doesn't win. Get that stuff out of your domination station or your optimizer setups. Get that stuff out of your game. Don't worry about it. It doesn't win often enough to matter. When we talk about implied run totals, we look for high scoring games. When we talk about formations, we look for big stacks. When we look for the gaps in the stack, the more tightly correlated or the more tightly connected your stack is, the better it performs. And then of course we're looking for the batting order. Do we need to worry about those 7, 8, and 9 hitters? This graphic tells you no. So when I walk through a little bit of these scenarios today, just briefly, we don't need to spend a whole bunch of time on this. These are just things to stick in your head, because you can click buttons on optimizers and you can cut out things. You can force in lower owned players. You can put salary caps on things. You can put ownership caps on things. You can also form your lineups to build 100% of formations that work. So let's walk through these categories a little bit as we go. Let's talk about the benefits. Let's talk about maybe where the optimizers, we can set them up to avoid these situations. I may come back, do a little bit more detailed video for my VIPs later and walk through the actual optimizer, the actual domination station, and show you how to set it up according to what we're learning here. But there's a whole lot more to learn in this graphic that I'm going to walk through with my VIPs later too. So again, if you're interested in that detailed information and getting a little bit more, honed in on that front door of your strategy, you might want to become a VIP. Click the link in the bottom of the video there in the description. But it makes a ton of sense. This is what I typically do when I'm looking to eliminate the fluff. Okay, so I see a 5+ run total game. That doesn't mean my main stack in my MLB lineups is only coming from 5+ run total games. Some nights don't offer one. I'm looking for the break point. Where's the break point? It's very clearly here at 4 or under. 4 or under. Only 11% of the time does a winning lineup's main stack come from a 4 implied run total or less. That means that if I eliminate all of those and don't use them in my main stacks, I've got an 89% chance of having the winner. Easy math. I like that. I just cut out the top 10% and I'm done. There's a lot of other ways to go about doing that. Some people use different numbers. Some people use, team ownerships and whatnot. And we'll combine some of that a little bit as we go, down the road in the baseball season. But for right now, just focus. You don't need, if a game is a run total, an implied run total for a team of 4 or over, you can include them in your main stack. You may only want 2% of them. You may want 25% of them. That's up to you. But you give yourself an 89 to 90% chance at having the winning stack already. You've eliminated a whole bunch of trash. In the formation side of things, I told you yesterday that big stacks matter. A big 4 stack matters. Okay, 3x3 or less, the 2x2x2s and all that jazz, 43% of the time. Okay, so that's almost half. But 57% of the time, it's a 4-stack. It's either a 4x1, 4x2, 4x3, or 4x4. And in fact, if you really wanted to cut down the nitty gritty, 43% of the time, it's a 4x4 or a 4x3 on those bigger stacks of, say, bigger slates of, say, 10 games or more. 43% of the time. So I just load up on those. I don't need to worry about the 4x2 or the 4x1. That's only 13% of the time. 87% of the time, it's a 4x3, 4x4, or a 3x3 or less. So again, I'm looking for more balanced scoring for the 3x3s. I'm looking for concentrated scoring with the 4x4s. But if you only stack 4x4 and 4x3, you've really narrowed down to about half the time you've got the winning formation. Add that to your implied run total of the main stack of being a 4.0 or higher implied run total offense, and now you're really starting to cook with some gas. The gaps are harder to do. Over here, the gaps are harder to build when you're not hand building. If you're a single entry or a 3-max player, you can control this very, very well. You can put in your, and some optimizers, yeah, they allow a button that says no more than X number of gaps in my stack. But if you are hand building, you can control this perfectly. Your main stack, poker analogy. If you know me, you know I love my poker. If I'm playing the game of Omaha and I start with 4 cards, I'm looking for 4 cards that work together. I'm looking for king, queen, jack, 10, double suited, right? Ace, jack, 10, 9, double suited. I'm looking for units of 4 cards that work together. My main stack, especially on FanDuel, if it's a 4-man stack, needs to work together. In Omaha, if you have, say, the ace, king, and the queen, and then you have like a 6 as your 4th card, that 6 is called a dangler. It's not doing anything. It's just kind of dangling out there as part of your hand. It doesn't really matter. It doesn't really help the overall unit. Same thing with your stacks in MLB. If I've got the 1, 2, 3, and then the 6, or 1, 2, 3, and the 7, it doesn't really help me a whole lot because I'm not very often going to get the 6-hole batter up there with, I can't have him up there with all 3 guys on base. So if he hits a grand slam, it isn't going to be runs and RBIs, necessarily for my guys that are in the rally. It's going to be kind of a dangler type of situation. You want to tighten up those gaps the best you can, because if you have no gaps in your stack, you're already in the winning formation 30% of the time. If you have 2 gaps in your stack, you're in there 40% of the time. What would a 2-gap stack be? 1, 2, 5, 6. 1, 3, 5, 6. 1, 2, 4, 6. Stuff like that, where there's 2 gaps in that stack. Now, they could be 2 in a row. 1, 2, skip the 3, skip the 4, 5, 6. Or they can be scattered. 1, skip the 2, 3, 4, skip the 5, 6. 1, 3, 4, 6. That's also a 2-gap stack. That's okay. If you've got 3 gaps in your stack, you're starting to get a little bit big. The number drops off, because if I have 2 gaps or less, add the numbers up. What's that? 40, 60, 75, 85, nearly 85% of the time, 2 gaps or less. If I have 3 gaps or more, I'm only going to be in the winning stack. I'm only going to have the winning stack about 15% of the time. So that should tell you need to tighten up the gaps in your stacks, just like focus on high run totals, just like focus on big stacks, things that we're covering right now. Batting order, the last thing I want to cover with you is the top of the order. Look at this big gap. Some of this may be the way people construct their lineups, but some of this is just the general effectiveness of the lower spots in the order. You see this little bump here in the 8-hole hitter. This is probably reminiscent of the non-DH days in the National League, the NL, where we didn't need to take pitchers in our lineups, of course, so we didn't have 9-hole hitters unless we were using AL teams. But look at the focus on the top of the order, the top 5 hitters, a little bit of the 6, but then it really drops off in the bottom 3. These guys, you can uncheck optimizers and uncheck the 7, 8, and 9. Just run 1 through 6, run them in all of your lineups. Guess what? If I take out this guy and I take out this guy, I've got a 1, 3, 4, 6 stack. That is a 2-gap stack. 40% of the time, I've got the winning combo. I like those kind of odds, right? This is something that you can do and you can implement today. This is something that you can put into your hand building as well as your optimizer setups for the most part, and you can focus on these things. So as we start building towards the MLB season, we start talking a little bit more about these types of things, how they matter, why they matter, and how to avoid the trash and focus only on the stuff that gives us good chances at winning. We're going to make you a better player. So once again, DFSArmy.com, coupon code DFSArmy. Get your butt in here, start talking to us coaches, and start winning more money. Take care, everybody. I'll be back a little bit later for my VIPs. We'll talk in a little bit more detail about a few things. See you later.